So, if you've ever heard of the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, and you've ever heard of Hermes Trismegistus, and you have heard of the Hermetica. And so it's here in the twilight between worlds, between Egypt and Greece, mysticism and science, myth and reason, that there arose a body of wisdom whispered across the centuries, etched into papyrus, carved into memory, hidden in plain sight. And it's called the Hermetica. And it comes in two distinct voices, like two faces of the same eternal scribe. You have the first part, which is the Technical Hermetica, and this is science as sacred language. So we begin with the Technical Hermetica, which is the practical arm of Hermetic tradition. These were the handbooks and scrolls of the astrologers, the physicians, the alchemists, and the magicians. This was no superstition, it was systematic. It was not merely belief, it was applied knowledge. Astrology to the Hermetists was not fortune telling, it was physics of the soul. The stars weren't gods to be worshipped, they were divine intelligences whose movements were known to shape destiny itself. The natal chart was a cosmic map, a diagram of your soul's descent through the spheres. Each planet, each sign, each angle sang a note in your cosmic symphony. And through cathartic astrology, the Hermetists chose moments of power, beginning rituals, planting seeds, or healing bodies in alignment with the stars. Then there was Medico-botany, a sacred pharmacology rooted in sympathetic correspondences. Herbs were not mere chemical agents, they were living spirits. A fennel root was ruled by Mercury, a rose belonged to Venus. To combine them was to create harmony in the microcosm, our bodies, with the macrocosm of the heavens, and then alchemy. Here, gold was never just another metal. The alchemical writings spoke in riddles. Solve et coagula, to dissolve, to recombine. The alchemists worked with cinnabar, sulfur, mercury, yet behind every flask, every furnace, was a metaphor for the soul, the lead of base consciousness, the fire of transformation, the gold of divine awareness. Even the famed philosopher's stone was more than just a substance. It was the eternal self, purified, awakened, and eternal. And what of magic? Well, to the Hermetists, magic was not the manipulation of nature against its will, but the cooperation with the divine forces within it. Rituals were designed not to dominate nature, but to enter into harmony with it. To speak the words of power, logoi, was to align with the frequency of the divine word. This was the technetheia, a divine art. It was not illusion. It was not a participation in some sort of magical ritual. It was divine logic and the cosmos in scientific format. So now we turn to the Religio-Philosophical Hermetica. Now we're talking about the cosmos as sacred text. So step with me beyond the lab. Let's go beyond the stars, beyond the scrolls of medicine, beyond the information on minerals. Enter the deeper mystery, the Religio-Philosophical Hermetica. It is here that we find dialogues between a teacher, often named Hermes Trismegistus, and a seeker, often his son, Asclepius or Tat. These are the mystical revelations clothed in Greek, but born from Egyptian wisdom. These texts ask eternal questions. What is God? What is the soul? How did the world come into being? The answer is always unity. You see, our source, God, the One, is beyond name, beyond form. Yet from this One emerged the Nous, the divine mind, which in turn shaped the cosmos as a living being. The stars, the spheres, the earth, the animals, even humankind were all born from the One, through the mind into form. In the Corpus Hermeticum we read, as above, so below, as within, so without. The microcosm reflects the macrocosm. Human beings, then, are not sinners in exile. They are gods in training, the Elohim. the divine sparks cloaked in matter. The soul descends from the celestial spheres, taking on the characteristics of the planets until it reaches Earth and forgets. But it can remember. You see, through Gnosis, the right insight, one awakens. You are not a mortal thing, Hermes says. You are a deathless being. This is no mere belief system, it is a path of becoming. Through spiritual purification, contemplation, and detachment from the illusion of separateness, the initiate returns inward, upward, reuniting with the divine mind. In African religions, maybe we might think of this as Ubuntu, that we think of that we are all one. So what's our unified vision? What links the two currents? Well, the technical and the philosophical beat with a single heartbeat. The belief that the universe is alive, it is intelligent, and it is sacred. The astrologer's chart and the philosopher's prayer were both directed at the same truth, that we are mirrors of the divine, that every operation, whether performed in a temple, a lab, or in the silence of reflective meditation, there is a ritual of remembrance. Hermes Trismegistus was of alchemy, of astrology and theurgy, one man but a lineage, a voice from Egyptian thought through Greek philosophers, through the Renaissance mages, into the ears of the seekers of today. In other words, this person was really not a real person, but it was a lineage of people sharing sacred traditions. So we have the legacy of the Hermetica. And in the Renaissance, Marsilio and Giovanni Pico translated the Hermetica into Latin, and they were recovering what they believed to be the primordial theology. This is a universal wisdom older than Moses. In the modern age, Carl Jung would speak of alchemy as the language of the collective unconscious. And so today, in an era of division and distraction, the Hermetic message still calls out to each and every one of us. You see, O soul of man, if you can but awaken, you will see yourself as the image of God. You will see the divine in all things, and you will know that all is one. So whether you walk the path of science, or you choose the mystical way of spirit, whether you chart the stars or you seek the self, remember the Hermetica, both technical and mystical, is not simply a philosophy or a practice. It is a mirror held up to the cosmos and to you. And so, what do you see in the mirror? Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content.